A child with autism is a challenge, something that Shirley Blaier-Stein is very familiar with. She has written a book about her own experience raising an autistic child, and she joins us now to tell us a bit more about this. So tell me a bit about your son and his diagnosis, Shirley.
My son was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. And the thing about that diagnosis is nobody gave me, with the diagnosis, a GPS to tell me which way to go.
Now what?
Try
right?
this treatment. Oh no, turn around. Try something else. You can go ahead and go for a mile, another mile with it, or come back and then change. And I had to figure a lot of his raising and a lot of his treatments and his programs on my own.
How old is he now?
He's 10 now.
So 7 years you've been having to make this up as you go along, right?
Yes, 7 years
Wow.
I've been basically performing a job that I never applied for, an autism mom.
And not to minimize it, but if your mechanic just said to you, "Oh, this thing isn't working," and then walked away, you'd still have that problem for a long time, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd have to figure that thing out by yourself. That's pretty tricky.
Yes, what I think I learned is to reach out for help and to study as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And to my main goal personally was I wanted to get into Dan's head to know what he's thinking and feeling and experiencing. He's nonverbal, and I had no idea how I could communicate with him. Sometimes he would do things and I didn't know why. And that's why I went on this journey to learn, to study him, to see what is it there, to understand that language of autism. Autism is a language. If you don't understand it, you will never know how to treat your child. And I wanted to understand it in the deepest way. And
So it is a foreign type of a thing to people who aren't familiar then.
it is absolutely, and this is why sometimes the community does not get our kids. And in my journey, my biggest goal was, as soon as I understood him, to expand his capabilities and to let go of the disability, to not focus on it.
Do you have other children, by the way?
I have a daughter.
And how does this affect the whole family?
It affects the whole family in ways that it's hard to even describe. It's in a lot of families that I know, and definitely in our family, everything evolves around a child, because it's, you can't go to outings like other families do. You never know
Sure.
how he's going to react.
Right.
He's so sensitive to the environment that anything can happen. And the reaction will, if he's in pain because the sound is too much for him, you never know how he's going to react. And so all of what we're doing is basically around him. If he likes something, then we're going to be doing. He likes hiking, so we hike. If he likes, to do a certain activity, we're all going to be around it to support him.
Yeah, and that, I imagine, is one of the things you probably learned, that you try to do things that are geared toward what they want to do.
Yes, and that's a key thing, because when you understand that language and you are getting into their head, you are sometimes surprised to see how good they are at something.
Isn't that something?
And when you find that thing, that key, that anchor that can, you can expand and build and teach them that they can and that they're good at, this is how you connect them to the world, and this is how you show the community, this child doesn't talk, but he can build amazing things in Lego. His visual abilities are extraordinary.
Yeah.
He can do things, in my son's case, he can play such sophisticated games on the iPad that none of his teachers and therapists and me can achieve to that level. And he does it so quickly and enjoys it, and we don't even know how he does it.
So he's uncanny in some abilities, I guess.
Yeah,
huh?
and it was that
something?
journey to find that and to see that it's not a challenged kid that you have to be sad about and worried about it, oh no, what's going to happen? But to the contrary, he's this beautiful boy who's amazing at these things, but he does have a few things that he's weak at, and that's where we need to help him in a positive way.
Shirley, we only have about a minute left, but I want to ask you too, because obviously you were saying that you started from scratch, you were just kind of working with no recipe, so to speak, on how to deal with all this. I'm imagining that you wrote the book to try to make it a little bit easier for other parents who have this situation.
Yes, I think the biggest thing I've learned on my journey, and I portray in the book, is that the mom is a key ingredient in the success of a child's life. When the mom gets to a better place, let's go of fear, let's go of the need to control and to fix, and sees the beauty and finds that thing that works for the child and creates that family and the community around him that helps him to make it, then that's the That's the key
Kind
to
of letting the
success.
agenda create itself.
Yeah,
it sounds
and,
like.
and be strong enough to follow the right route, to let go of things that don't work, to focus on what works, to have that strength in you, to be good to yourself too. You're doing an amazing job. I want to tell moms out there, you're doing such an incredible job. Just pat yourselves on the back.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Maybe take some of the pressure off yourself. Shirley, I hate to shorten things, but how can people get a copy of your book?
They could go to my website, autismmombook.com. It's also on Amazon, Autism Mom, New Ways of Thinking, and they can learn everything about it.
Perfect.
There.
Well, Shirley Blaier-Stein, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
I'm sure
you for
a lot of
having
folks are
me.
going to benefit from this. And folks,